Alright, hopefully everyone can hear me. Sorry there's no picture. I am the narrator. Today I come to you speaking of cultural Marxism. Honestly, this is a great topic for me. It's basically what I talk about all the time, just not using those words. Something you people blindly accept and complain about daily. So here we go. I will put a couple links and some information in the summary. Alright, so feminists, sexism, blacks, Jews, LGBT, illegals, Muslims, and the rest cannot be prejudiced against straight white men or offend us in this warped, screwed up way of looking at things. Why? We straight white men are the supposed oppressors of every society, even ones we are not in. And you are supposedly the oppressed, which you're not. Why else would you have everything except common sense to see that you do? The real kicker is this. Illegals take our money and send it to their former country, still calling it home. Over $20 million a year. Blacks sold themselves as slaves and now have a better life, yet they still blame whites because they are handed things. Yes, they had to work hard as slaves and afterwards. I'm not discounting that. LGBT is Jewish propaganda created experiment to hurt straight white men, thus the straight white way of life. Further, by claiming we held down homosexuals so long. Yet now every perversion is free to have. Even middle school teachers get pregnant by 13-year-old boy. And who's to blame? Of course, the young white male, because women say they cannot be taken advantage. They cannot take advantage of men or boys in this case. That's bullshit. Frankly, it's anti-logical too. People blame the Triple K, the Nazis, Hitler, claiming these groups, plus slavery and the Holocaust, the bust-a-gut laughing jokes of slavery and the Holocaust, is cause for their what they call unrest. Take these people call torture, rape, murder, and more unrest and blame white men for it. Talk about having your cake and eating it too. Yet, they don't see how warped they've become in mind and body. At a genetic, almost DNA level, they've been turned into pure evil. I am going to make a statement here. I hope you take to heart. Quotes. Once you hate and vilify straight white man in your heart and with your soul long enough, you truly are lost, because God, source, nature, whatever your word is, of what you call God, was put into all mankind. So to absolutely hate straight white men means all you have in your heart and soul is hatred. You are truly a lost soul and a chess pawn, easy to use for the architects of this anti-society. Once you've hated, vilified long enough in your heart and soul, it turns black. No room for God, source, or universal consciousness. You are alone in the universe, forever lost. End quotes. Were the Triple K, Hitler, Nazi groups, Jewish people started to cause the eventual paradigm we have now? That's an interesting question. I've pondered this for a while and come up with this. Nobody is discounting the Nazis, Hitler, Triple K, went above and beyond for their cause. Was their cause just? I believe so. It's the betterment of the race they wanted, which is what blacks, Muslims, and illegals are all doing now. I believe the Jewish people, who are in with the Muslims, black, they're all linked together, got in on the ground floor of these groups, just like a parasitic infection. Unseen, unnoticed, but growing. And they not only ruined the cause, but just like a pyramid scheme, they profit greatly from being on the ground floor from just after day one. With the birth of artificial intelligence and the techno-revolution that owns people, it is much easier to propagate the hatred and, quite frankly, jealousy of straight white men. be it women, blacks, LGBT, Muslims, illegals, Jews, and the worst is the white people who side against their own race. Media, Hollywood, even comic book heroes are now altered to remove straight white men. Thor is now a woman, Captain America is evil, Spider-Man's Asian and black, Miss Marvel's Pakistani, Hulk is Asian, Wolverine's dead and replaced with a woman. They, at almost molecular level, are erasing straight white men from your minds. Only the hate of us remains. The kicker is you know you hate us, but you have no clue why. Still you accept and obey like good sheep. Lastly, I'll leave you with this. And it is an out there concept. Cultural Marxism, being Jewish controlled, their control stronger than a dictatorship. Let's rename it, shall we? For my purposes, I'll call it the JRC, Jewish Ruling Council. The JRC are time travelers of a sort. Do they go back through time literally? It's up for debate, but let's keep this quite literal. They have now Common Core education, Muslim Sharia law in education, LGBT sex in education. They are altering history in children's minds. Kids learn false history. Therefore, when the parents hear from the kids what they learned, parents question what they learned in school because for the most part it's been a couple decades since they was in school. Thus, parents believe their kids' schooling. So yes, the JRC, again the Jewish Ruling Council, at their core are time travelers who change history without getting off their butts to do so. Time travel doesn't have to involve a water spout, a DeLorean from the movies Back to the Future, a time machine from any H.G. Wells book or movie, or a slingshot around the sun. Time traveling and altering the past can be easily enough done by changing how kids learn and what they learn, which for centuries and decades only ramped up now what is going on. Further that, yes, this is still my closing remarks, with cell phones, the particle accelerator, Large Hadron Collider, the HARP device in people's heads 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, making it easier to be ignorant and conform adds to this problem. Last part now, home stretch. Older people used to be the most stubborn people and would not change whatsoever for anything out of spite mainly. Nowadays, older people conform easier to tech, altering history, everything. Why? Glad you asked. Older people, it had been longer since they'd been in school, easier for them to question themselves. Plus, with the HARP thing and cell phones in people's brains, they makes the older people want to feel part of society anymore, because at their core the HARP device and those other things want people to be a part of the action. But not know why. When before older people were just older and tired and were who they was. Now they want to fit in, so they get their phones and brainwashing devices faster to not be left out. The last statement on this makes one wonder. In the TV show Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, the character Tempest had a device called the Subliminator that would make people believe everything he said. Certain people were immune, certain people were partially immune, but for the most part, he had control. Is that what cell phones and the HARP device are doing? It's food for thought.